Good morning, everybody, and welcome to the Rangers Review morning briefing for Thursday, the 24th of March. I'm
It's
Derek.
International Week, Derek. This is what happens.
The
days all melt into one.
Thursday, the 24th of March. I'm Derek Clark. I'm joined by Johnny McFarlane this morning. How are we doing, Johnny?
Good, mate. Good. Just enjoying you falling over your words. It's always nice to see such a good broadcaster fall apart on the screen.
Yeah, absolute amateurs here. Before we talk about Rangers, folks, you know the drill now. If you're watching us on YouTube, if you've not hit that subscribe button, then hit it. It means you'll never miss a video when we go live. And if you've not taken advantage of the Rangers Review website as well, I've just put the link in the comments section, rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. Just £2.99 a month to support top quality journalism covering the club you love. It really is outstanding value. I'd urge you all to go and check it out. And let's talk about a piece that's on the website this morning, Johnny, from your good self. Just touches on the state of play with regards to the Sydney Super Cup. Of course, it's created a lot of negative protests from the supporters with regards to this decision to play Celtic in a friendly in Australia. And you've got a piece on the website this morning. You can give us a little bit of insight into what subscribers can find on there.
Yeah, Derek, stick it on the link so people can have a look at it.
I'll do that, yep.
Basically, my understanding now of the situation with the Sydney Super Cup is discussions are ongoing with the organisers of this event. There is stuff going on behind the scenes, and it's my belief that it is increasingly unlikely that the Sydney Super Cup will go ahead as an Old Firm event. So I think basically it's a question of patience. I think for Rangers fans, I know it's difficult because there's so much uproar about what's happening, but I think there is stuff going on behind the scenes. There is things happening, and there is movement there, and it's one to keep an eye on in the days and weeks ahead. I've pulled together everything that I can in the piece, all the bits of information that we've pulled together as a team, and that I've been able to pull together over the last couple of days. And I think there's certainly a hope that this can be resolved in the next wee while. Now, It's complex. I think that's obvious, but I think it's certainly something that will be one to look out for, put it that way.
Yeah, definitely. As I mentioned, folks, the link is in the comments section. The latest in regards to Rangers' involvement in that Sydney Super Cup in November. I'd urge you all to go and check it out. Let's talk about other news regarding Rangers, Johnny. First, I wanted to mention there's a comment coming in here from Scott Hammond, and I wanted to touch on this. Alex Lowry, 2 goals for Scotland last night, the under-19 side. Fantastic again from him. We talked briefly about his performance in the Old Firm game in the Lowland League at Ibrox on Saturday. And there is a lot growing calls for him to feature more in the first team. Where do you stand on this with regards to the title running?
Well, I think first of all, what I would say is Lowry is increasingly impressing, I think, everyone. Now, this kid has clearly got something. He's skillful, he's elegant on the ball in a way you don't often see from Scottish players. He's creative. If anyone hasn't seen the pass that he made in the under-19s Old Firm game, go and seek it out. I think Pena Cartel, at Pena Cartel on Twitter, has got it on his feed. My goodness me, it was Scott Allen-esque, Derek. That's how good it was. He's not even looking in the direction that he's playing the pass. He turns and hits it a full 40 yards. Unbelievable moment of creativity from the lad. So, given he's already been introduced into the first team, and given he's made an impact, I think it's safe to say people will want to see him. And going into the future, I don't think this is a player that Rangers can hold back for much longer. The good news, of course, is that Giovanni van Bronckhorst is a Dutch coach. It's in their blood to bring through young players. Every Dutch coach I've ever seen has been keen to do that. And that's one of the positives, I think, for the lad, that Gio will, I think, want to make him a part of that team going forward. You look at Gio when he came through the Rangers side, when he was bought in, that Barry Ferguson was there and brought through by Dick Advocaat, plucked out of the reserves and made the fulcrum of the team. Much to, I think, a lot of people's surprise here in Scotland, although he'd done okay when he'd come in, he hadn't looked like, the linchpin of a multi-million-pound team. But there you go, he was put in, and the rest is history, as they say. I think Lowry's got to have a major part next season. It's clear to me that he is a player with serious chances to become top. There's questions about his contract. I know that's running out at the end of next season. That's something Rangers will have to look to. I think they'll have to demonstrate to him that there's a serious pathway there for him to further his career. You've got to remember that these lads nowadays, even if they're Rangers fans growing up, the amount of money that you can earn in the Premier League, in Italy, in Spain, but especially in the Premier League, is so significant that it's a different kind of pool than it was 20 years ago for like kids growing up when I was young and you were young, Derek. So that's an issue for the club. There's no doubt about that. But I think it's one of those ones where there has to be a bit of give and take, and he has to feel like there's a pathway there. And if that can be delivered, and he feels that that's tangible, then I think there's a possibility that he could become the guy that Gio builds the team around for the future. It may be a bit early for that next season, but he's got the talent, hasn't he, to become a mainstay.
Yeah, absolutely. There's a comment came in from Sonny Boy. He mentioned Lowry, King, and Kelly. Kelly's an interesting one. I'm going to be speaking to him very shortly, folks, to get an idea of how he's getting on at Salford. But he's a player, Johnny, that's went out on loan, of course, the likes of Ross County, and he's now down south playing for Salford City. Do you think do you think Alex Lowry may be heading out on loan? Do you think he's good enough, though, to make an impression, like you mentioned, there next season, to be in the first team next season in that Rangers side?
Well, from what I've seen in the first team, I think he's good enough now, Derek.
Yeah.
I think loans can often be really good in certain situations. So if you want to give a youngster a wee bit of a jolt in terms of this is the world that you could be going into if you don't screw the nut, then sending them out to a Cowdenbeath or an Airdrie or something like that can be a really, really, really good tool. But the negative to that is that it's not really Rangers football they're playing at these teams. This has always been the one of the big strengths of the Colts for me, that you're playing Rangers football, you're playing a brand that is similar to what you would play in the first team. And if you go to a Cowdenbeath, there's almost no correlation between what Rangers do and what they do. So I'm probably really being unfair on there. I'm probably going to get Donald Finlay on the phone, give me a hard time about this. Because I've no idea what to. Cowdenbeath probably play electric football at the moment, and I'm slaughtering them. But you understand, it's just an analogy. And I think that's one option. But I don't get the impression Lowry's that kind of lad that needs the kind of boot up the backside. So I think he's going to be a key part. I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think if he keeps up playing the way he is, how he's performed for Scotland, how he's performed for the youth team, he'll get more opportunities in that first team. But we have to remember, and this is important, Derek, don't get carried away, because in his position there's Aaron Ramsey, there's Joe Aribo. These are very, very, very good players. So that needs to be taken into account.
Yeah, and Maurice Ross is the manager of Cowdenbeath, so no doubt he's got them playing some cracking football based on...
Aye, that's true. That's the other thing.
I still want him on the phone.
I know Maurice Ross will have them playing good football, so it's a terrible choice.
Some good. I like how you mentioned Ramsey there, Johnny, because Gareth Bale has been speaking. Of course, he's joined up with Ramsey for the World Cup playoff qualifier against Austria, and he's speaking about him. He says Aaron always keeps himself in good shape. He says he's happy he's playing some more minutes than he was at Juventus, which is great news. He said he's enjoying it at Rangers, and it's a big club. Of course, we've seen him make an impact on Sunday at Dens Park against Dundee. You've been on record saying that he has to play from here on in, Johnny. I think that's that's crucial based on the fact that how big a calibre player he is and bringing in such a high-profile talent. But it's good to hear these words from Gareth Bale that he's enjoying life at Ibrox.
Yeah, it's always a nice little story, isn't it, when you get a superstar coming along and saying nice things about your club. So I think Rangers fans will sort of...
Gareth Bale maybe fancied a move to Rangers in the summer, do you reckon?
Yeah, I think well, yeah, I mean, listen, I wouldn't dismiss it. Like, listen, I think we got caught out with Ramsey, so we can probably keep quiet on the potential for that. I think Gareth Bale's looking forward to his career as a professional golfer, isn't he, when his contract expires at the end of the summer. So we'll look forward to seeing how he gets on when he's out there on the greens.
Yeah,
but it's terrific always to hear that. I think for fans, and people will be reading that with their cornflakes this morning and getting a nice glow just hearing Gareth Bale say nice things about the club. And certainly these two games for Wales are really important actually for Rangers, because Aaron Ramsey goes out and gets 90 minutes in both. That's going to be a real big boost in terms of getting his fitness topped right up for the challenges that lie ahead. So I think a lot of people will be keeping their eyes quite firmly fixed on those games, and hopefully Wales do well. And I think that's going to be really important in terms of the continued amalgamation of Aaron Ramsey into this Rangers side.
Yeah, absolutely. I wanted to touch on some of the comments that are coming in here, Johnny. There was one touching on Stephen Davis, Scott Kearney. That one, yeah. There is certainly that.
Got a point, Derek.
Scott Kearney says, I think it's more important to get Davis back for the run-in. Now, of course, he's been out injured for some time. He was called up to the Northern Ireland squad, however, which sort of tells you that he's nearing a return to action. However, it remains to be seen for me, Johnny, whether he will feature. He hasn't featured much. I know injury has played a part for Giovanni van Bronckhorst. Can you see him having much of an impact in the title running?
You know what? I still find this a little bit surprising how I know he's had issues, but it feels to me, and it's felt like to me since the start, that maybe Stephen Davis doesn't really fit what Giovanni van Bronckhorst is trying to do. I might be totally wrong, and I read those comments about the injuries that he's had and the frustrations that he's had, and I really, really hope that it's just that, because I still think there's plenty there for him to offer. In terms of a deep-lying playmaker, if you're playing a single pivot, I don't think there's anyone better at the club than Stephen Davis to do that still, in terms of moving the ball quickly and being creative. And quite a lot of the time, that's what Rangers absolutely need. So I think he can still be an important player for the club. I hope he goes away and gets a couple of games and comes back refreshed and able to make an input. Because let's face it, look back at last season, how big Stephen Davis was.
Yeah.
Now, I know you could throw a rock and hit a player of the year in Rangers squad last season. It was so difficult to actually pick one out. I mean, we could probably start talking about this now and fall out about it within 5 minutes. Yeah. Because I know a lot of people were very passionate about it. Stephen Davis was definitely one of the 4 or 5 that you would say was in with a huge shout winning player of the year. And I think you have to say that there's no reason why he can't still perform in that role for Rangers at a high level. You know, it's a guy whose game has always been built since he's come back, to be fair, because he has changed his game over the years. But since he's come back, he's always built his game on passing and moving the ball. So you've got to hope that he can make an impact. The thing is, like, perhaps there's a little bit of bias creeping in here because all of us like Stephen Davis as a player. He's such an elegant footballer, capable of great moments. But you wouldn't want him to end his Rangers career, which has been so storied, with a whimper, you know, without just kind of like falling out of things.
Yeah.
You want him to leave, you know, with a trophy in his hands.
Yeah, most definitely. Good question came in here from Ross. Johnny, morning, guys. I'm always interested in Rangers looking at domestic players outside of John Souttar. Are there any players within Scotland you think Rangers should look at most likely at a low fee? Is there anyone domestically that sticks out, Johnny, that you think Rangers should be keeping tabs on?
Well, Josh has got a really interesting article tomorrow. Now, I'm not saying I agree with this, And I don't want to give too much away, but he's looking at goalkeepers, 2 goalkeepers specifically in the Scottish Premiership that the stats are certainly suggesting would be good signings for Rangers potentially. So I think there's a couple of names in there. I don't want to give it away, but that could be potentials. Other than that, I really like Benny Baningime. Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Baningime.
Baningime, that's the one. Sorry,
Yeah.
Jesus, that'll be clipped up.
Tomato.
Of course, I've still got COVID, folks. I'm still Baningime, of course. I think he's terrific. Now, the question about Baningime is, can he translate the outstanding defensive numbers that he's produced for Hearts, as well as becoming a more sort of creative force? But he's the right age. His engine is superb. He's a brilliant tackler, great 1v1s. I really, really like the look of him at Hearts. I know someone else is saying Barry Mackay. Well, I'm one of Barry's biggest fans. I think I'm constantly reminded about things that I've written in the past about Barry Mackay on Twitter. I once compared him favourably to Kieran Tierney, which Celtic fans love to remind me about. But what I was talking about in that article was Barry Mackay's technical quality, which I still think, honestly, Barry Mackay technically, there's not many players in Scotland that match him, like in terms of ball control, ability to pick out a pass. You know, Barry Mackay is superb. Creativity is just oozing out of him. And listen, I like Barry Mackay. I'd take Barry Mackay back to Rangers in a shot. You know, I honestly would, because I just I love watching him. Just Barry Mackay with the ball at his feet is a joy to watch. And you know, but he's not going to get a game week in, week out for Rangers. We know that. But is he a better option against low-lying defences than Scott Arfield in the sort of right midfield, right wing role? I would say yes. But I know that a lot of people will passionately disagree with that, and I'll probably get.
I'm interested. Yeah, it's a big. I'm interested to hear the comments, folks. You're getting a lot of people agreeing with you, Johnny. Stuart Finlay says Mackay over Wright.
Barry Mackay is a better player than Scott Wright for me, but other people will disagree with that. They're quite similar in a lot of ways. You know, Scott Wright glides with the ball as well. They've got similar qualities, so I can see why people would compare those two. But I think Barry Mackay's problem at Hearts this season is XG numbers are terrific, XG assisted, but his goals. I mean, he's scored 1 goal. It was a cracker at the weekend, or either the weekend or the weekend before. But he doesn't score enough goals. And listen, we remember that from this time at Rangers, Barry Mackay.
Yeah. It's an interesting one. A comment come in from Ian McPhee. 2 goalkeepers should be looking at Dundee United and St Johnstone. I think that alludes to a piece that could be coming out very shortly on the Rangers Review, Ian. So stay tuned for that. Interesting piece from Joshua. But yeah, listen, Rangers are going to be linked with players from here on in terms of the summer. Of course, we know that John Souttar will arrive in the summer, and there will be more arriving. We're sort of in agreement, Johnny. I think that there will be sort of major surgery carried out in the summertime. Yeah,
there is one other player that I do like, that I think is a terrific player, but I wonder whether he would fit Rangers' system or not, which is Lewis Ferguson. Because I think Lewis Ferguson's got a lot of dig about him. He's extremely physically strong. I think he's quite a different player to his dad and his uncle, who were exceptionally skillful on the ball and more like, I would say, Serie A midfielders than Scottish Premiership ones. But Lewis Ferguson's more steely, I think, more box to box, very good in the air. We know he's the kind of player that I think you kind of need in Scotland sometimes. You know, if you're locked in a physical battle at Tynecastle, at Easter Road, at Pittodrie, and you know that he would be keen to come. So,
saying that though, it's reported that Cagliari in Serie A are prepared to bid £3.5 million for him.
Yeah,
worth that?
Yeah, probably not. I
Yeah.
probably wouldn't encourage Rangers to pay $3.5 million for him, to be honest.
Yeah, but
I
it
think
is a decent player. I mean, he's linked to every
Yeah,
transfer window, I think, Johnny, because of the Rangers link. But do you reckon he should be linked on merit as opposed to just?
I do.
Rangers
I do think he should be linked on merit. He's not a name that's going to ever excite a lot of the Rangers fans, right? There's no doubt about that. There'll be some that'll like him, and there'll be some that'll say, "Well, Lewis Ferguson," you know. But I think as an all-rounder, for the type of player you need in the Scottish Premiership, you know, he's not going to take Rangers to the next level in Europe, but in the Scottish Premiership, as a guy who can come in, give you that edge, and listen, he can improve. That's the other thing. He might be a player to take you to the next level in Europe if he comes in and improves the way you would hope.
Look at Ryan Jack.
Yeah, look at Ryan Jack. Exactly. Great point. So I think he's someone that should be on the list, but $3.5 million is a lot of money for Rangers. And there's markets where you can get really, really good value for that kind of cash.
Yeah.
Listen, Italian football clubs are starting to look more and more at the Scottish League. You're seeing that because Aaron Hickey's been such a success over there. I mean, Aaron Hickey, that was one that you know, Rangers or Celtic could have picked up for maybe $1.5 million from Hearts. I don't think he would have been, you know, completely unable to be got, you know. I don't think he was absolutely fixed on the idea of going to Italy. But he's gone there, and you know, you're not going to get Aaron Hickey for less than 10 million now if you want to go and get him from Bologna. I mean, he's playing superb. He's one of the best young players in Europe at the moment. So these teams in Italy will look at Scotland and go, you can pick up real bargains in that league.
Yeah.
And I'm sure that they're seeing Lewis Ferguson at $3.5 million in that ballpark of a bargain.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, folks, that'll do us there. Packed show as ever. Thanks for all the comments that came in. It really is much appreciated. If you're watching us on YouTube, remember, just hit that subscribe button. It means you'll never miss a video when we go live. And if you want to take advantage of the website itself, just head over to rangersreview.co.uk/subscribe. Just £2.99 a month. Really is cracking value for top quality content. Okay, we'll be back again tomorrow on Friday. But until then, enjoy the rest of your Thursday.